Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our weekly race chat.
Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey are live and interactive every Tuesday night. Rivals Race Chat is your home for race discussion, debate, news, interviews, and more. They'll even take your questions and comments live on the air and talk to some of the newsmakers each week. Tune in every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on GeForce TV.
For Lucy Olson, she has her first point. Yeah, Lucy Olson, talented sophomore.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sin City, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where tonight we've got a good one around the corner. The Next Gen's Coast to Coast Racing League, and tonight we will punch the first ticket into the Championship 4 if a round of 8 driver wins. So glad you could join us on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. I'm Marty Sakala. Let's talk about the playoff picture here as things stand. 8 drivers now remain with a chance at the Cup Trail Championship. We'll try and get them on your screen here as you see them. Cody Graham currently 23 points above the cut line. Jake Musso 6 points up. Joe Musso is third, 3 points up. And Cullen Johnston is fourth. He is 2 points up. Jacob Butcher, the first one out, he is 2 points below the cut line. Terry Landis is 6th. He is 4 points below the cut line. John Krupa 7th, 5 points below the cut line. And Roland Olson, the final driver in the round of 8, 8 points below the cut line. Will be a fun one here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and a pretty good car count. 18 drivers with us here at the 1.5 mile D-shaped oval. And man, what a fun track this is for Next Gens at Las Vegas. In real life, the racing is always phenomenal, never disappoints. I wish that this could be the site of the championship 4. Unfortunately, it's not a NASCAR track, so that is not the case. But it's such a cool track to race on, such a fun track. You'll see your 2 wide constantly. You'll sometimes see your 3x3 racing. It's a fun race to be a part of. So let's bring up the practice speeds here at the moment as you take a ride on board here with the leader currently, and that's Preston Cranmer, the A-Light Outlaw in the number 07 with a 29.92 in Vegas. Cody Graham is second, 29.93. Jake Musso third, 29.93. Bob Light is fourth, 30.01, and Joe Canellis is fifth with a 30.02. Now, while we should be beginning things here around 8:30 this evening. Now, while the Cup Trail is very important to the 8 drivers left in the hunt for the championship, everybody else still with a chance to win the Fall Series in the Next Gen 2023 Season 4. And the man that comes in the best so far this season is that man, the driver of the Slide Job Racing Network 07. That is Bob Light. 20-point advantage on Roland Olson coming in, and Light with 2 wins on the season. Qualifying is underway. We'll try and pop up the first driver that is on the racetrack. And that first driver will be, I believe, Preston Cranmer. And that it will. And so here's a look at the man that was quickest of everybody in practice. '11th in points coming on in. 3 top 10s in 4 starts to begin the year. As for the trail, a total of 13 starts, 2 top 5s, and 6 top 10s. So qualifying is underway. As always, you see how it looks at the bottom of your screen. If you're in green, you're working on your fastest lap. If you're in purple, you're working on a pole lap. And if you're in the orange, well, you got to try again. Trying to get as low as possible on the banking here in qualifying. Kyle Moonen sets the bar on his first lap at a 30.34. Cranmer goes third at a 30.54. Let's bring up Butcher in car number 85 of the RSN Trackside Aspire Sim Racing ride. Currently a 10th off of Kyle Moonen's pace. New quick time to Jake Musso, 32.7 in car number 61. We'll have to see if Kyle Moonen, the 24, can top that. He's coming off of turn number 4. He has a better lap, quickest of anyone in Sector 2. Moonen, can he take her to the top? I don't think he was able to. He's 4th quick, 30.34. Joe Canellis, the quickest driver in qualifying. Where'd that come from? The Tin Can, 30.16 in qualifying. Jake Musso goes second, 31.7. Here comes Joe Musso across the start-finish line. Quickest of anybody in Sector 2. He takes her to the top at a 31.5. Let's go to Bob Light, the number 77. 8th quickest at a 30.35. Cody Graham goes 14th. That's his first lap of qualifying. Eddie Musso Jr. goes up to 3rd in lap number 2. Here comes Light off at turn 4. Good in Sector 1. And Purple in Sector 2. Let's watch this closely. Takes her to the top. Quick time by 400ths. That's the 77 of Bob Light. One man now stands in his way, and that's the number 2 of Cody Graham, who was green in Sector 1. He is green in Sector 2. This doesn't look like a pole lap, but it is. 30.09, Cody Graham in the round of 8 will start on pole for tonight's 60-lap race at Sin City, Las Vegas. Now that was a fun qualifying session. As we await the green flag, let us know who you're rooting for in the chat. Glad everybody could join us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. There you see the times on your screen. Cody Graham quickest at a 30.09. Second quick, Bob Light, 30.11. Joe Musso, third, 31.5. Joe Canellis, fourth, 31.6. Eddie Musso Jr., fifth, 31.7. Jake Musso, 6:31.7. Cullen Johnston, 7:30.24. Same with Jake Butcher. Ninth, Jeremy Tate, 32.6. And Steve Bixler, 10th, at a 30.32. Get a nice view from turn number 3. Of course, iRacing, the official simulator of Coast to Coast Racing League and the Slide Job Racing Network. And that finish line is where everyone looks to cross here tonight. This track seating 80,000. 20-degree bank is in the turns. One of the things as well you got to keep in mind of, and we'll just mention this briefly before we go green. We'll talk more about it during the race. That's the bumps on the racetrack, which can always freak a car out. Have to be careful of that at any given point in the race, whether you're on fresh tires or worn tires. Well, we're set to go racing here at Vegas, so let's meet the field and give you your catalytic recovery starting lineup. On the pole, it's Cody Graham in car number 2. Next to him, it's the 77 driven by Bob Light. Row number 2, it's the 63 of Joe Musso and the 1 of Tin Can, Joe Canellis. Row 3, the 62 of Eddie Musso Jr. Next to him, it's the 61 of the Moose, Jake Musso. Row 4, Cullen Johnson, he's in car number 13. And next to him, it's the 85 of Jacob Butcher. Rounding out the top 10, Jeremy Tate in the 8, and the Mayor, Steve Bixler, in the 75. Row 6, the Money King, Kyle Moonen in the 24, and JR, John Rayner, in the 302. Row number 7, Andrew Coopersmith in the 45, and the A-Lit Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, in car number 07. Row 8, Jim Bowie in the 058, and Hollywood, Roland Olson, in the 003. Rounding out the grid this evening, the Desert Demon, Terry Landis, the 161, followed up by the 5 of the Laker in John Krupa. See the field as they look overhead. Here's the format for today's race. 60 laps around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The pit window, 50% as always. The fuel window, 32 laps. So if you can hit the halfway point, you can make it the distance, but you have to beware. You got to be careful if this race goes to overtime. The field 9 rows deep. Ready to go green. As they make their way off at turn number 4, we say, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? The iRacing pace car, the Steve King Foundation pace car, makes the left-hand turn to pit road. We're in Sin City. There's a big race coming up here next month, but there's a big iRace happening right now. Showtime at Las Vegas. A lot of drivers jockeying around there off of turn number 2, but it's door-to-door for second between Bob Light and Joe Musso. 77 gets the advantage. He gets the banking off of turn number 4. One driver really loose, so that's Jake Butcher. Contact with Roland Olson. Everybody keeps it straight, though. We stay green. It's Cody Graham with the number 2 out in front. Light moves up to second. The Mussos, Joe and Eddie, 3rd and 4th. Joe Canellis down in the top 10. Kyle Moonen looks to make some moves early. He's up 2 spots in the Hardy's, number 24. John Krupa, believe he did not have a good qualifying lap. He did take time in qualifying, but he is up 3 spots into the 15th position. He's side by side with Jacob Butcher. Butcher, who started all the way from the 8th position, just did not get a good launch and faded back because of it. Jeremy Tate, currently the quickest driver on track at a 33.8, currently in 8th position, tries to use the draft off of Jake Musso in the race for 7th. But everyone here just about single file, wanting to keep it patient here. A long race, obviously 60 laps, but we got trouble behind them. Krupa and Coopersmith, the 45 is around. And obviously no caution because they're all in the infield. And so because of that, we stay under the green flag. Let's see if we can get a look off the Malcolm's Mills mill riding replay. Coopersmith caught the wall in front of John Krupa. The 45 around and dodging and weaving through the grass. Probably explains it as well because he's a student driver. Canellis low on Eddie Musso for the 4th position. Canellis at the disadvantage because in turns 1 and 2, it's very bumpy in there. It can get the rear, it can freak out the rear end just a little bit. Let the steering and affect your steering just a bit. We'll ride on board here with Canellis if he's still on the bottom. Side by side. And I think he hit a bump there in turn number 3. Watched his car up the racetrack. Eddie Musso Jr. clears for the 4th spot. Take a ride on board here with Canellis. We'll show you what we're talking about. You see how bumpy it is there? Just feel it. You can't, if you have a butt kicker, you can feel it. You can only hear it if you've got the headphones on. Bob Lett at car length back on Cody Graham. Just wants to play it safer right now. Doesn't want to be too safe because he's got Joe Musso behind him. Now, I believe it was these two back in Texas now with Jake Musso that went at it for the win there, and they got together racing for the lead. Caution flag came out, and Bob Light ran out of fuel. So Light with the advantage, got a nice drive off at turn number 2, and we nearly won 3 wide down the back with Colin Johnston. Wanted to make a run at Tin Can, but just too risky too early. Something that can work out as well for the drivers, and I think we'll see it late in the race if drivers are racing for position. Off of turn number 4, if they can cut through that tri-oval underneath the white line, just don't go through the grass. Cut through there, and you'll be able to make some gain some track position, possibly gain some speed. So we'll just see what happens. Moonen making some moves once again. That's on Jake Musso for 7th, looking to go up 4 positions. Your biggest mover of the race so far. The Money King on and off with us on Thursday nights. 3rd start of the season for Moonen. He's yet to finish in the top 10 this fall. But we've got a challenge for the lead, guys. Bob Light looking low for the top spot. Nobody touched the apron, got a little bit sideways. Really sideways in turn 4. An extremely shallow exit. Tries to go through the dog leg, like I said. Trying to get that speed. Advantage Cody Graham, and he increases his lead to 0.2 of a second. And just look at this pack. In turn number 2, that was 5 cars side by side by side. 5 cars, 2 rows deep. That's a fun one to watch. But now they all get jumbled up as I think Eddie Musso caught the dog leg, and Johnston gets sideways, and Moonen gets sideways. Looking for all the track that they can get as we're 10 laps through to this one. On board that 62, and like we mentioned, one up on the burr, everyone hitting those bumps. You see it down the back chute, the top speed, well up to 190 miles an hour. It's insane here. Now the next driver to make some moves is the 13 of Johnston. Him and Moonen just split the 61 of Jake Musso, and now Moonen in 6th, Johnston up to 7th. It's everyone watching behind Cody Graham on board with the driver of the number 2. Let's see if Light makes a run downstairs. Decides not to. But now Moonen attacks on Canellis, looks to break into the top 5. Now up 6 spots. The second driver that's highest is up 2 spots, and that's Preston Kramer. But you saw Moonen get tied up a little bit. Had to let off to avoid hitting that 62. And Canellis gets a huge run down the Nellis straightaway. And that draft helps him out. The 62 at a major disadvantage. But Canellis has to be careful. Doesn't want to get in the gas too early because that car can get tight, go up the 20-degree turn, and in the wall hard. We saw that with Bubba Wallace last season, although that was thanks to contact off of Kyle Larson. So Jake Musso using that low line to his advantage. In 6th, but him and Moonen decide to go door-to-door for the spot. Advantage to Moonen, he can clear Jake. Everyone staying single file behind Cody Graham, who has led all the laps so far at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, one of the 8 drivers in the playoffs. You see he's got that clean air in front of him. Remember, it's Graham, Jake and Joe Musso, Johnston, Butcher, Landis, Kruper, and Olsen that are in the playoffs. We got a little bit jumbled up from 3rd on back. There wasn't contact, but, you know, obviously a lot of hard racing can affect your momentum. And Musso low for 3rd. Canellis keeping his foot on the throttle first. Pick up a gap. Meanwhile, Jake shuts the door on Kyle, wants to look low on the 62. Not sure if the Money King was really too pleased by that. Remember, a long race left to go. We're working lap number 17 of 60 at the moment here at Las Vegas. Fun race to close out. I mean, obviously this is a serious race for the drivers, but obviously a good way to close out the week here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. This is week number 7 of 12 on the year, so we are now in the second half of the season. Of course, began the week with the World Finals, and congratulations to Blake Chapman, the salesman. Finished in the top 3 in the big block race on clinching the overall championship. The week kicks off Sunday with the midgets and pro late models at Lima Land. I'll be working the Monday night broadcast, as always, of the sprint cars. They run Kokomo on Monday. Adi Musso Jr. loses a couple spots, but you saw Moonen get a little bit loose. Up the track he goes because Canellis had to let off the throttle. I think the tires are starting to get to the drivers here. Is he right on board with the 1? We're seeing the tire fall off currently right now in 19 laps. Fall off by about 3 to 4 tenths of a second at the moment for the leaders. But from 4 through 6, with how hard they were racing, that fall off was a half second, so they lost a tenth, an extra tenth there. Not what you want if you're the drivers in the middle of this lead pack. And it's still from 1st to 9th, separated by just about 2 seconds. Really, it is all about saving tires here at Las Vegas. This asphalt, 15 years old just about, and is a little bit abrasive. Not as abrasive as Auto Club or Atlanta was before they had their reconfiguration, but it's still a track that eats up tires. Here's Musso, second groove on Bob Light for 2nd. So we're 20 laps in the books. Trouble, John Rayner hard in the wall and collects Jake Butcher as both of them spin. First caution flag is out here at Las Vegas. And so this is going to make things a little bit interesting. They were 10 laps off of pitting. No surprise we'll see everybody come in to top off on fuel. But will they do 2 tires or 4 tires is the question. Let's look at JR in the 302. Get an idea of what happened. Maybe this replay can show us. So Rayner was already in the wall. I don't know if there was contact with the 85 of Butcher. Let's rewind this further back and see how this started. Both of them racing hard for position, simply put. And off of 4, I think Butcher just got loose. Up high, yeah. A little bit loose and catches Rayner. And so that's how they get into it. Let's see if we have a static shot here. We do. Watch the static shot. Not the best. So, but leaders are coming in now. It'll be interesting. 2 tires or 4 tires? What do you take here? Well, watch the 2 of Cody Graham stop, and you see the times on the bottom of your screen. Away goes Steve Bixler by himself. He missed his pit box. But the race off pit road, it's going to be a close one at the line. It was Cody Graham, and everyone took 4 tires. Everyone decided to go the 4 tires and fuel route. It was Graham, followed by Musso, Jake Musso, Light, Kyle Moonen, and Joe Musso. That's the top 5. We come back to the green flag. 22 laps complete. We'll step aside and take a break. Restart coming up in just a moment. Coming back to the green on this restart. Here's the front row. Cody Graham and Jake Musso teammates. Row 2, Bob Light and Kyle Moonen. Row 3, Joe and Eddie Musso teammates. Row 4, Colin Johnston, Preston Cranmer. Rounding out the top 10, Joe Canellis and Roland Olson. Wrapping up our first Gambler Motorsports caution after John Rayner and Jacob Butcher got together coming off turn 4. Well, as we get set to come back to green, I'm going to shut up. You guys turn up the volume. We're going to crank it up here early at Las Vegas. Couple laps shy of going halfway, and it's still Cody Graham out in front on board Bob Light. Closest driver to take the lead from Cody Graham. As remember, they were side by side before the first caution came out. About probably 10 laps or so before the first yellow flag flew, and Light got loose, touched the apron in turn number 4. Now he's back in the second position. Canellis, a big loser off the restart. He's down in 7th, but him and Olsen touch. And a dangerous part on the racetrack. Preston Cranmer and makes more contact with Olsen. They even back off the throttle from the looks of it. And the LA Outlaw takes 9th. Brings his teammate Jeremy Tate with him to try and go to 10th. Some rambunctious racing happening mid-pack as the field goes down the back. Tate's able to clear Hollywood. Let's go to turn number 4, where the top 7 all nose to tail single file, separated by 1.3 seconds. As we have hit the halfway point, 30 laps down, 30 laps to go here at Las Vegas. Again, if you've just joined us, Marty Scala with you. Glad you join us on the Coast to Coast Racing Network this evening. Here's Moonen looking on Light for second, but the advantage could go to the 77 here if he gets the drive off at turn 4. Picks that momentum up, which he doesn't, though. And Moonen barely edges out Light at the line. I think it was by 100th. But Light gets the advantage off at turn number 2. Now does he get a chance to pull down low? Cody Graham, he cannot. We did, though, have a new fastest lap last time by, and it was Jake Butcher in the RSN trackside number 85, put down a 29.96 last lap. Best lap of everyone that last time by, a 30.05 by the 8th place car in Joe Canellis. Moonen with a run underneath. Follows the 2. Light gives him the opening, but has to back out of it because that car looked tight on corner entry. And oh, Light's loose off for 4. A little bit too high off the corner. He catches it, but both drivers lost a 10th that time. So the gap now a 1/4 of a second behind Cody Graham. Light didn't get loose that time, luckily. Clear going into turn number 3. And he can, but he drives it in deep up the track. Here comes the 24. This is on board with Jake Musso. Moonen clears to second, highest he's been in the race. Remember, he started back from 11th. And now he's getting a huge run on the 2 of Cody Graham. Was a 10th off of Graham last time by. This time, this has to be much faster. Oh, but hang on a second. Light wants second back. Moonen shuts the door. 2/10 better was Kyle Moonen. And he's in striking distance to take the lead for the GKM number 2. Meanwhile, another member of the Moose Clan, Jake Musolo for 3rd. Bob Light fading. Could be in some trouble, but a lot of defense trying to fight. And that's 77. Eddie Musso wants to go with them. Under our commercial break we had under the first caution, because of the situation with fuel issues, a lot of drivers were in 5th gear clutching, making sure that they would be okay to go the distance. Cody Graham was one that clutched in 5th gear. Here's the disadvantage he has right now with the single file train. You see that? Clean air, full throttle. Luckily though, you can let off in the corners here. On the straights, though, Kyle Moonen could have the slight advantage laying off the straights while keeping speed. We'll just have to see what happens if this race does go the distance. It's going to be very, very interesting. Jake Musso and Bob Light the race for 5th. Cullen Johnston wants Joe Musso for 6th. You just saw that in the background of your screen. Half a car length separates the top 2. Let's go back to the second half of the field and show you some other exciting racing. And man, that's a good race. Canellis, Tate, Olson, Landis, and Butch. You know, some of these drivers have been in the back of the pack all race long. Like, take Roland Olson, or behind him, Terry Landis. But they are still duking it out for positions with other drivers. And Olson nearly kisses the wall off of 2. Bob Light with company from 3rd. Here comes the 61. Jake Musso to the 3 spot with 20 to go. Behind them, Jeremy Tate. Joe Canellis. Canellis been fading off this restart. Olson's in the wall, though. Landis and Butcher take evasive action. And I thought Landis was about to spin into the inside wall like Jeff Gordon did in 2008 at Vegas. That would have been a sledgehammer shot for the Desert Demon. Back to 4th. Bob Light may lose another spot. This time it's Eddie Musso Jr. And, you know, Joe's not going to fight Eddie for this position. He wants Eddie to get up there and pass Bob Light, so that way the 63 can go with him. Oh, trouble, Cullen Johnston? Nope. Johnston brings his ride onto pit road. So Johnston could not go the distance. You know what I think he's doing? He's coming into pit road now and topping off on fuel. That way he can go full throttle to the end. He wants to forget about trying to save fuel now. He knows he couldn't go the distance, so he's the first one on to pit road, making sure as well that he has enough in case we go overtime. But that's a risky strategy off the number 13. And he's decided to take tires too. I think this will be a 2-tire stop most likely. Oh, decides to go 4, which is interesting. Canellis and Tate touch at the line for 8th. And Bob Light just lost 4th to Eddie Musso. Preston Cranmer also a part of this fight, and he may have just signaled that he may be pitting this time. I'm not too sure. Ooh, Cranmer really tight. He's got a problem with that 07. Really tight into turn number 3 and makes contact. Hard to the wall he goes and collects Jeremy Tate. And the strategy backfires on both Olsen, Rayner, as well as Colin Johnston. Everybody will be able to go the distance. And so it was well worth the wait for all the other drivers. I just said it. Colin Johnston's strategy may backfire on him, and it just did. And Roland Olsen and John Rayner had the exact same strategy in mind. Let's go to Preston Cranmer and show you in real time another angle of what happened. He saw he just got loose off of 4. I think there was contact with Landis, and Jeremy Tate has nowhere to go. Let's run on board here with Tate. Here's a look in real time. Man, heavy lick and a great camera shot. Track cams by Ishvan is who we use for cameras. Gotta give him credit whenever we do that. And Cranmer nearly went upside down when he went through the grass. And so everyone making their final fuel stops here. With 15 to go, everybody will be able to go the distance. Free pass car should be Roland Olsen. But now we watch the final stops here. This is just the yellow as well, in my opinion, that not just Kyle Moonen wanted, but also what Bob Light wanted, because both of them were fading to the leader. I mean, obviously Moonen was in second, just lost the leg round. Joe, wrong pit box. He went in way too hot. And Cody Graham wins the race off pit road. Jake Musso second, so Moonen loses a spot on pit road. Eddie Musso fourth, Joe Musso fifth, and Bob Light is down to sixth. All right, so also hearing as well that Colin Johnston also gets a lap back. He'll get back on the lead lap. And Rayner's also on the lead lap, and same with Roland Olsen. But that backfired on him because guys like Colin Johnston, he pitted on lap 42. He has 4 laps of scuffs compared to the leaders, and he starts in the back. All right, so should be 1 to green this time, and it is. Olsen, Johnston both get a lap back. And so the Musos, or the GKM team, I should say, have the front row. And it's an 11-lap shootout to try and go the distance and see what happens. Cody Graham and Jake Musso. That's row number 1. Kyle Moonen, Eddie Musso Jr., row 2. Joe Musso, Bob Light, row 3. Jake Butcher, John Krupa, row 4. Terry Landis, Preston Cranmer round out the top 10. So even after Cranmer's spin, Cranmer's wreck, he does get to restart in the 10th spot. 11 laps to go when we come back to green to Las Vegas. Everybody good to go the distance. Now all that matters is who gets to cross the finish line first. Nice restart from Graham as he was able to fire first. That leaves Moonen and Jake Musso racing for second. But Moonen has a trio of Mussos behind him. And Jake may make the overtake for second with a drafting partner behind him in Eddie. Jake on the gas first compared to Kyle. A great drive in the center of 3 and 4. They touch at the line. One driver on the apron, that's Canellis. We have 10 laps to go. 4 cars racing for second. Could be 5 with Bob Light. Helping out Cody Graham, increase his lead to 0.4 of a second. And Jake takes the spot away. I believe that's the highest he has been in this race. And so Joe and Eddie door to door for the 4th position. Your top 2, Cody and Jake, racing for a spot in the championship 4. Keep that in mind. And Jake's got some catching to do on Cody Graham, 2/10 behind him. Bob may lose 5th to Joe Musso. Actually, Bob takes 5th away, I should say, from Joe Musso. He gets to be a part of this race. Now Moonen wants to take second back. That's just what Graham wants to see. All about side drafting now in the corner, down the straights. In addition to the corners. It's starting to get aggressive. Look how close the 61 to 24 were. Probably the closest anyone's been up in the top 5. When it comes to side-by-side racing, they bang in the center. Everybody catches it. We're still on board with the 24. Let's watch the 62. He decides to work with his teammate. 7 to go. Mooner with the advantage. Jake drops back in line. Does he try the crossover off of turn 2? And he does. Wants the run entering turn 3. And that last time by, guys, Cody Graham said his best lap of the day at a 31.2 was a 10th better than Moonen and Jake. This should be better by another 10th. The gap is a half second. One of the biggest leads that we have seen today by the driver of the 2. We do have a new driver that's the quickest on track, and that's Roland Olsen at a 29.93. I believe that's the second 29-second lap that we have had today at Las Vegas. And it is. Make it a 29.92 for Butcher. We've got one off track. It's Joe Canellis. He keeps it straight, so no caution. We stay green. Butcher, the quickest car on track, in 7th, and he is catching the leaders. As you see, Joe and Bob race for 5th. Did not see that coming out of the RSN trackside 85. But remember, he wrecked on the second caution. And I think was able to get a quick repair to that race car. 4 laps to go. Meanwhile, for Cody Graham is Jake and Bob race for 5th, or Joe and Bob race for 5th. Saw a couple more 29-second laps. This time Kyle Moonen and Jake Musso. And Kyle has cut the gap down 0.3. It's 0.2 of a second as they have 3 laps remaining at Las Vegas. That time by Moonen was better by 1.5. This is far from over for Cody Graham to try and punch his ticket in the championship for. Same with Jake Musso. Kyle Moonen wants to be the spoiler and get his first win of the season on the Cup Trail. Two laps to go. Now, what do you do here if you're Kyle Moonen? If you're on that spoiler at the white flag, you got to either look low or you got to send it into turn number 3. But now that he has Jake Musso behind him, that's just what Graham wants to see. Have a teammate help him out of the GCAM Racing span. It's a half car length between the top 2. They come off of 4. Moonen trying to search his lines, try and get some options. Graham breaking the draft. That's what he wants to do. White is out. 1 lap to go. It's 0.2 of a second into turn 1. Moonen enters high, trying to get it on the gas first. Musso with a run off of turn number 2. That's just what Graham wants to see. Does the 24 have anything for the number 2? Moonen drives into the corner deep. Won't have anything off at turn number 4. Cody Graham is going to the championship 4. He wins at Las Vegas. Dominated this race. Kyle Moonen 2nd. Jake Musso 3rd. Eddie Musso Jr. 4th. Bob Light rounds out the top 5. Moonen the hard charger up 9 spots from 11th to 2nd. Terry Landis up 8 spots from 17th to 9th. And we're looking forward to seeing the Liverpool native do a burnout. But first, the top 3 to pose for a photo for the social media. You see how the field looks. Graham the winner, Moonen 2nd. Jake and Eddie Musso 3rd and 4th. Light 5th. Joe Musso 6th. Butcher 7th. Johnson 8th. Landis 9th. And Olson 10th. Rest of the field, 11th Bixler, 12th Tate, 13th Krupa, 14th Bowie, 15th Rayner, 16th Canellis, 17th Cranmer, and 18th Cooper Smith. Well, I think we have 2 of our 3, but I think we are good to bring in our 3rd place driver in Jake Musso. Jake, walk us through your race here today. A great 3rd place run definitely helps you out, pick up some points, trying to make it in the championship 4.
Yeah, it started off pretty crappy. I can't qualify or I don't have short run speed on these things. Especially here, I struggle here a lot. I do have long run speed here. I don't know. I think I just babied it too much early in the run. So I was just taking it easy in the beginning and started making my way past people in front of me. I was like 6th or 7th, and I got up to 2nd there before the caution came out, which I was pretty disappointed in it because I thought I was going to be able to get Cody there for track position. And then, yeah, just starting on the outside, I had no speed, and Moonen got around me, and I was like, well, there goes there goes my chance at the win because it's going to take too long for my car to come in, and just glad Cody held on for the win there.
Yeah, did Cody give you a big thank you very much for trying to race Kyle there in the end for a second, try and affect his momentum at the same time?
No, but I think he knew I was going to do that anyways because I wanted 2nd or 1st. You know, I hate being 3rd, but especially I want to go into the championship 4, and we'll probably get it done next week. But, yeah, no, I'm glad Cody got done, and he's in championship 4, so hopefully we can get another GCAM car up there.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
All the boys at GKM Racing, Fast Ace, Hot Rods, Main Street Auto. You for a great broadcast, and Coast to Coast for a great league.
Alrighty. Well, we'll let you go. Great run tonight, and best of luck next week.
Thank you.
Jake Musso, our third place finisher this evening. Let's go to Kyle Moonen finishing second. Kyle, gotta be tough, man.
Marty.
What more did you need for Cody this evening?
Man, I don't know. I don't know if more laps. I was really good when, probably about 5 or so laps into the run, uh, and I could stay on him, but really, unless he made a big mistake, I think I was gonna have trouble actually passing him, no matter what. I might have got next to him, but he was definitely quick too. So was Jacob.
Walk us, what was your strategy going into the final laps? I mean, you were catching Cody Graham. Were you just trying to be patient, try and see if he made a mistake? Were you searching for different lines? What was your game plan in those final laps?
Uh, Mostly get to him. I was trying to search around a little bit. I kind of knew where I was quicker than him. Getting through 1 and 2, I was trying to get a run coming off of 1 and 2 so I could enter into 3 a little bit early. When you drove it in on the bottom, right on the white line, it stuck down there pretty well, and I gained a lot of ground on, pretty much everyone. I actually passed quite a few people in that spot tonight, it seemed like. So that's what I was aiming for, but he was quick too, so he was definitely a little bit different.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
Just all the guys at Bandy Built and you guys for the broadcast and everyone for the league.
All right, well, we'll let you go. Great job. Hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
All right, you too. Thanks, Marty.
Kyle Moonen finishing second. And we now go to your winner, and he is in the championship 4. That, of course, is Cody Graham. Cody, how's it feel? You got a chance at winning a championship in the trail.
Good. It's always good when I talk to you. I don't think I have in a while. So, I just wanted to get into the last 4, and I didn't. You never expect to win, especially in this field, because there's a lot of quick guys, and so it means a lot to get in with a win, and then the next 2 races I can kind of breathe easy and just kind of not take it off, but I can just have a nice relaxing race and not have to stress too much and until I get to Phoenix where I'm terrible, but that's the fun of it, and happy to be it.
Did you expect to be this dominant tonight?
No, I mean, at the start, I knew I could turn 1 lap speed, and I also knew I had long race pace. It was that in between that I wasn't sure because I didn't really practice it, and I didn't really know because I didn't really test myself. So, I didn't really want to see that yellow come out because that was that in between spot where it was really an unknown. But yeah, I just I know I had comparable pace, and it's really hard to pass here, especially just because everyone's so close together. And I knew I didn't even really check my mirrors till like the end. I knew he was getting one heck of a drive getting into 3 on the inside, so I just tried backing up the corner a little bit, so that way he'd either have to blip the throttle or he'd have to lose his momentum, and then I could drive longer off the corner and hopefully keep him behind me down the straightaway. And I think it worked just good enough. Because I knew. So I started to have more pace than him at the end of a run. So I think, he was beating up his tires a little bit more than I was. So I was just trying to hold on there for that intermediate stint.
Obviously, you're in the show, so you don't in the championship 4, so you don't have to worry about winning your way in or pointing your way in next week. What are your thoughts going into Homestead then next week?
I have never driven Homestead in any vehicle, so it's going to be a fun Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of all 3 cars on that track. I don't really know what to expect. But yeah, since I'm already in, I don't really have to sweat it too much and, spend a bunch of time practicing or anything. I'm just going to go in and wing it, and, whatever happens, happens. And hopefully, we can get a couple more GKM cars in there and, have a real fun final race at Phoenix.
Who do you want to give shout outs to?
you for picking up the broadcast, because this series is in between. Sometimes we got a broadcaster, sometimes we don't. And this series, I mean, today there was only one yellow, and it was close, and sometimes that can be boring because there wasn't too much passing going on. But this series and the Xfinity series is really picked it up, and it's been really clean and really good. So it's good to get it broadcasted. So big shout out to you, Roger, and everyone for putting on the league, and then all my GKM teammates.
Alrighty. Well, we'll let you go. Congratulations on the win. Hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
All right. See you. Thank you.
Cody Graham, he is your winner. And congratulations to him on getting it done. So as we pack things up here, here's the schedule for next week on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. And here's how it looks. Sunday, we have Extreme E-Speed TV Sunday Night Showdown with midgets and pro late models at Limaland. That begins at, that begins at 7:30. Monday night is Osh Weekend Speedway's Monday Night Madness with the sprint cars at Kokomo. That's at 7:45 p.m. Tuesday night is Asphalt Tuesday, where the NASCAR Truck Series is at Homestead Miami Speedway, so you don't want to miss out on that. Wednesday night, the Hometown Heroes, brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies, continue with the sprint cars at Kern County and the Xfinity Series at Homestead. Thursday night is Gambler Motorsports Thursday Night Thunder. Next week, we've got the small and big blocks at USA, and the next gent at Homestead Miami Speedway. So that'll do it for us here this evening. On behalf of everyone at the Coast to Coast Racing Network, Extreme E-Speed TV, and all the fine drivers and sponsors, Roger Craig, Preston Kramer, the fine group of admins, and I'm Marty Sakala signing off here for tonight. Congrats to your winner, Cody Graham. He gets it done at Las Vegas. So long, everyone.